Hello, welcome to another episode of Burying the Sausage with me, Amy Taylor. I hope you are doing well. I cannot believe we are now on episode 5. Now we're going to be talking about makeup. I have known Hayley Clarke, the makeup artist we will be speaking to today, for a few years now, and I thought she would be a fantastic person to have on. I have worked with her quite a lot this year. We cover quite a few subjects, so we talk about things like skincare, we talk about how to find the right makeup artist. Now, this is going to be something that will potentially overwhelm you because, as we discuss, there are loads of them out there. We will tell you how to vet them, how to try and find the person that is right for you. Before we start the episode, I would like to ask you to go and rate and like this podcast wherever you have listened to it, because this really helps to get it out there, to get it seen, and I would really, really appreciate that. So let's stop rambling. Let's get into the episode. Here is makeup artist Hayley Clarke and I talking everything makeup for your wedding day. Hi Hayley, how you doing?
Hello Amy, it's just so exciting. I'm so honoured to be invited onto your podcast. Thank you so much for asking me.
Oh, it's so good to have you, Hayley. We've worked together quite a lot in the past couple of years, and I really wanted to get a makeup artist on because I know that makeup is a really big part of the day, and I think there's so much that we have to say and so much that we can tell our clients about just how to choose their makeup artist, how to find the right person, and we're going to cover loads and loads of topics today. So, Hayley, if you just want to introduce yourself, just let people know what your background is and what you do. I know you're a makeup artist, but just give them a bit of history.
Cool. So I have been a makeup artist since I was 17. I trained with Pixie Woo, Samantha Chapman, one-to-one. Best times. I mean, at the time I was just a young 17-year-old starting out, just had a bit of flair for art and just thought I needed to put this into a job that I can love. Went on to working for Bobbi Brown Cosmetics, worked for them for 8 years, got to work backstage on Britain and Ireland's Next Top Model, which was good fun.
Oh, did you? I didn't even know this.
And that's where I
how
met
exciting.
Jessie J.
I've got so much to ask you. Did you? Oh my God. How exciting. Do you know what? Next time we are on a
Which
job
is like
together.
Saturday.
I have got... It is Saturday. It is Saturday. I've got so much to ask you. There's so much I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted you with my amazement of what you've done. Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. So I worked for Bobbi Brown, done amazing opportunities with them, and then I got to work for Charlotte Tilbury. So I was with Charlotte Tilbury for 5 years as a senior lead artist. Got to train in the Middle East in Dubai. That was great fun for a few weeks.
Wow.
But yeah, the careers has taken me so far that I suddenly found my feet. When I hit 30, I always said, right, I want to go freelance. I want to be my own boss. And so COVID for me, I took the leap. As obviously work was not, wasn't really working at the time. So I thought, right, I need to advertise myself, put myself out there. And I made that point of pushing myself in lockdown to build my presence on social media, and I finally took the leap in the July. So so now it's like coming up to my nearly my 4th year in the wedding industry. Properly.
Amazing. And it's always so great to work with you, Hayley, because I feel like to be a makeup artist, a good wedding makeup artist, let's have the distinction there, is that you really need to be a people person,
Absolutely.
Don't you? And you always bring the positive vibes all the time. I have and I just think it's just so essential because we're there to support our clients and to make them feel comfortable. Yes. And it's always a great time when I work with you. So
you too, lovely. I mean, look at us, we're clucking on, loving life.
Well, we'll probably make reference to, speaking of clucking, we're going to make reference to a video that actually that kind of took off on the internet, which I'm going to try and put into this video. So if you're watching this on Spotify or potentially YouTube, this might be going up on YouTube, I'm going to try and put the video in so you can see the video.
See the energy we bring at 5 a.m.
So actually, Hayley, before we move into our subject, I just want to tell a story about one of the first times I met you. I think it was at Happy Valley, wasn't it? I think that might have been the first time. And it was an early start. I mean, it's quite a distance for us to drive as well, isn't it? And it was in the summer, and it's the first time I'd worked with you. And you were there before me, and I arrived, crack of dawn, what I thought was crack of dawn. You'd been there even earlier. And I just remember you speaking to the client and just talking about your morning. And I just remember you just casually saying, yeah, I didn't need to get up until 4 or half 4, but I woke up 3:30. Just thought, why not? I'm awake. I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea. And honestly, you just had so much energy. And I think you were going on holiday, weren't you, straight afterwards as well. And I just thought, wow, this is somebody that I want to work with, because
we're just the same.
Even if I'm feeling tired, you just bring the vibes.
You bring the persona to the fore.
So Hayley, we've got so much to talk about today. So this podcast is for the overwhelmed nearly-wed, and I'm just going to say nearly-wed again because I feel like when I listen back to it, it says newlywed. Obviously, this is no use to a newlywed. It's done. The wedding is done. And we want to just give them some facts so that they don't feel overwhelmed on the day. So that they kind of know what they're looking for, and so they get the makeup that they want. They get the right service that they're looking for. And I don't think this is an exaggeration to say that there are hundreds of makeup artists. So actually, I think that's quite an overwhelming choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. For someone that doesn't know or know the style they want, or if they traipse through Instagram, it's just makeup. And obviously, a lot of people will show their personality on Instagram, which is a good thing because it gives the client an idea who they're dealing with. I really think it's important to show your face as much as possible. Because I feel
agree.
Then you can gauge whether you're going to be a good match. And I think that's the most important thing. It's not just about the talent. Obviously, you want the talent because you want to get the best. But at the same time, you need to make sure you align. So that's really important for me as well, as being in that industry and obviously slotting in. You want to find something that really aligns with yourself. So obviously, when you're attracting the ideal client, it's about making sure that comes across as you want to be seen.
100%. I mentioned this with Liv and Ben in a previous episode, actually. We were saying about how to try and... Oh, I'm glad you liked it. We were saying about, it's really important to make sure you feel at home with suppliers that are going to be with you for many hours. And that's your photographer, that's your videographer. If you're having a content creator, that'll be them. And it'll be hair and makeup as well, won't it? So you need to make sure that they are the right people for you.
Absolutely.
And actually, there being hundreds of makeup artists and also quite a lot of hairstylists as well, I actually think that's a really good thing for the client, because it means if they've got the time to look properly, to do their research, to investigate, they can find the right person for them, can't they? It's possible. But guys, don't leave it too late. No. Don't think that hair and makeup is something you leave until the end.
We are booked very early, like the venue, actually. I mean, you'll probably agree. There's nothing nicer when you get a client come through who's early stages of planning, and they literally email you and they're like, "Oh, what's your availability? Because I want to work around you." And I mean, that's the most flattering thing to know that sometimes they actually, put makeup and hair above their date, as opposed to to make sure they've got the person they want. So that's really lovely.
Yeah, I have had that. I've had that a couple of times, and it is really, really flattering. However, I'll be completely honest with you. Like I say, this podcast is for honesty. Yeah. It makes me feel really under pressure, because as flattering as it is, I think, what if something happens to me? What if something happens to me? They've based their whole wedding day around me and my availability.
Big thing, though, isn't it? Think about it.
And then I'm going to feel absolutely terrible. I mean, I've been really, really lucky, really super lucky, you know. I've not had, you know, there's very, 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 very few people I've had to let down. But yeah, it is super flattering. But what we're saying also as well is if you are somebody who is looking for something very specific for your hair or your makeup, then you should definitely make sure you start your search early. So how early do you think they should be looking? Like how many months?
I really feel like
yeah.
sometimes it's like 2 years. I mean, for me especially, I mean, I know you open your diary in the January, Amy, but for 26, but I've opened mine in October. And I feel like sometimes, you know, you've got a few people that are on your list that are literally like want you, and that's absolutely fabulous. But at the same time, you're just thinking, I mean, even for me, maybe next year I might be a bit down your line where I think, do you know what, actually, I can hold off a bit longer. Because I do feel like sometimes you can open it too early, and then almost you feel like, I mean, like yourself, I'm probably nearly 88% booked for next year. And I feel like, actually, you know, and that's quite amazing to be that booked for next year. And although it's still a year to go, but people will still come through the cracks. You know, there's going to be a few dates like winter next year is still pretty much available.
Yeah.
So I just think, I think anything between like, I think 18 months is about right. I feel like you really should, start early. Early.
Yeah. If I'd say 18 months is good if you've got a very specific style.
Yes.
And I know that you, like you said, sometimes each year you will get people contact you like under 6 months from the wedding. And I have to say, when it's under 6 months, I'm like, oh my goodness, so soon. And sometimes, I mean, clients, if you've never got married before, how would you know? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm looking for makeup or hair quite early. I'm like, girl, that's not early.
I had early. I mean, love this girl. I had early the other day. I had this bride inquire of me for 2028. And
wow.
I mean, bless her. I said, you know, my diary doesn't open for then until 2026, like October. So I was really honest with her, and she was like, no, if there's a waiting list, obviously I'll go on it. So I put her on it. But I was just like, wow, that's like 4 years away. And I was like, that's amazing. I mean, I appreciate her being on it. But yeah, it does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People will try and be extra early.
It does. They will. But I think that, it's worth, if it's important to you. Actually, Hayley, let's segue into I think that's the right word. I may not have used the right word.
Segue.
Into a different...
Yeah.
into a slightly different subject. Now, I didn't prep you for this question, so I'm really sorry if you feel unprepared. But I used to do makeup. I did makeup for 8 years, so I kind of have a little bit of a feel for this subject. There are clients where a makeup artist might not be suitable for them, aren't there? As in, they're absolutely stunningly good at their own makeup. They've been doing it for years. They're into makeup. They know how they like their makeup, and they like to have the control over their makeup. I would say they are probably the candidates that don't need a makeup artist. Would you agree?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. I've had clients before when they've been really good at their makeup when I used to do makeup, and I just thought, and they've been really nervous when someone else has done it for them, and I just thought, do you know what? Your wedding day is not the day to be anxious. No. You need to do all the things to make it feel easy, keep it calm. And I think those people are few and far between, because I think that actually a lot of people just want to sit down. They just want to have their makeup done, don't they? Is there any other situation? I mean, I think that'd probably be the only situation where you probably shouldn't book a makeup artist,
absolutely.
right?
I feel like if you know your style and you know what you like and you're someone that's really particular, then I think why not do it yourself? There's no wrong in that. I feel like sometimes you put more pressure on yourself, maybe having someone else, and actually you think, oh my God, I'm actually really dictating to this artist. And obviously no offence to the artist, because their talent is amazing. But I think at the same time, you've got to think, how would that artist then feel? So I do feel like, you know, I'm all for that. I mean, I remember when I first started out freelancing, I had a bride who was really good at makeup. And I was really honest with her. I was really transparent. And I just said, you know, maybe this is something you need to do for yourself. And she was like, do you know what? I really appreciate you being honest with me. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it all boils down to having that, you know, confidence to say that as well. And the bride, a client will respect you so much more for that as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, I'm gonna just constantly refer back to this throughout the whole of the podcast. Like small independents like us, like freelancers, we do really care. The majority of us, absolutely care. And we want to do the right thing and we want our clients to be happy. And, we're not here to be like, I'm going to grab this booking. It really is about having the right clients and the clients being happy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen it before, Hayley, as well. I mean, I know I've seen it as a hairstylist and I've also seen it when I was a makeup artist. You've got clients sitting there on the day. They're really anxious about their makeup. They're fidgeting around. They're constantly glancing in the mirror. They're asking to hold the mirror every 3 seconds. The makeup artist can't even get a brush near their face without them wanting to check it. If you think you might be one of those people, then you should, maybe what those people should do is have a makeup lesson with an artist like yourself, or I know lots of artists offer that, and then just do it on yourself on the day. I have clients who do their own makeup, and I'm like, sometimes it's just not right for that client, and I think that's fine.
In fact, I had a girl, a client book me, I think for next year. And she was like, this is how many people I'm having. However, 2 of them want to do their own. I was like, absolutely fine. I was like, I'm absolutely fine with that, because if they like a specific way, then that's fine.
Well, it's, sometimes I will do a bridal party and maybe 2 of them are just really great at their own hair. Maybe they just have stunning natural hair and they don't need me to do anything to it. Like, it looks lush. I don't think clients should feel under pressure to book in every member of their bridal party. If one of those members are happy to do their own, as in they're like, I don't like using the words, but they like a certain way that they do their hair, and they don't want somebody else to not do it in that way. So I think they are the sorts of people that it's absolutely fine not to have them booked in. Or maybe they'll have makeup and not hair, or maybe they'll have hair and not makeup.
Absolutely.
So I think people should just not feel under pressure that everybody has to, to be booked in. And then, as you rightly point out, Hayley, it means that people don't have to get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, because you have to have these conversations, don't you, with clients? Because I think sometimes when they book you, they just think, oh yeah, makeup, lovely, hair slot, lovely. And when you give them the timeline, and if I can be really honest with them, I say, do you know what? With my travel as well, and sometimes it is an hour and a half. I mean, I'm like yours, I know about what you think of this, Amy, but if it's anything over 2 hours, I tend to stay nearby overnight, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be getting up.
Yes, I've done that.
And I want the best energy. I want to make sure that I am 100% there. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. So I would just say, actually, if you are a client that's listening, and if you have got a 1 o'clock ceremony, well, I'm just going to give you a rough idea of when you'll need to get up based on your numbers. Should we do that, Hayley?
Let's do the number game.
Should we give them some?
Love it.
So I would say that, for example, if there are you, the bride, and 4 bridesmaids, we typically allow, every makeup artist and hairstylist is different, but typically we would allow 45 minutes to an hour per person. For me, the bride, I would have up to an hour and a half with the bride. So for a 1 o'clock ceremony, we want to make sure that we are finished just before 12.
Yeah.
And then that means we've got time for final touches. I know that you work slightly differently to me, Hayley, but we managed to make it work together, don't we?
Always.
I would say that, so for those people, you are going to need to be starting around about 7 a.m-ish for a 1 o'clock ceremony for you and 4.
Yeah.
And that's really normal. I would say 7 a.m, so arriving at about 6:45 is probably my average.
That's my average,
would you say
100%.
That?
And I love them ones because it's bright and breezy, especially peak summer. It's, it's great.
Yeah. So if there are more than 5 of you and you're getting married at 1 or earlier, then I would say you need to look for either somebody that works with an assistant. I don't work with an assistant, and I'm really honest with people when they come to me. I'm like, look, I simply cannot accommodate those people. Yeah. I'm usually quite honest. And also some people simply do not want to get up at 5:15 a.m. because you're going to be awake for probably
a long day.
23 hours.
It's a long day. You need to, keep that energy, all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if somebody wants something relatively simple, then say, for example, I don't know, like just some people that maybe just want to blow dry. Sometimes clients will be like, no, Amy, I really want to book you. I'm going to send, these two off to the local salon for a blow dry. And I think that that is really lovely, again, because then the client's like, they're looking for you, aren't they? They
Absolutely.
want you. So, yeah, so hopefully anybody that's listening, that gives you a rough idea. I think that sometimes you don't have an option of when you get married, do you? The registrars will
On the day,
dictate that
isn't
to
it?
you.
Yeah.
But if I was going to get married again, I would absolutely do 2:00. I did 2:00 on my wedding day, and it was like perfect. It was the sweet spot. And it means you don't have to get up too early.
And also, Amy, divulging into timings as well, and obviously
Yeah.
us working together. I mean, the slot for the clients is, I like, and you probably agree with me here, is I like to do it so the bride is like not last, one before or two
Yeah.
before last, so it gives time for
Yeah.
better hair, especially if you're having a set and finish. So that's a big thing. I think is the right slot for the bride.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so usually your hair and makeup artist will work together in terms of timings, especially if we know each other. If I don't know the makeup artist, I'll give my timings to my client and say, please pass this on as the makeup artist, and please get them to contact me if they need me to move anyone around. I work strictly to a timetable. I'm not one of these people that just rocks up and takes whatever client whenever. I know there are makeup artists and maybe even hairstylists that do that, but I've been doing this for so long, and I realise that timing is just so important. And to have a relaxed day, you have to have a regimented schedule. And I know that sounds ironic, but it's just the truth,
Absolutely,
isn't
and
it?
I think it puts the bride at ease then she knows that she hasn't had to worry about organising all that. And I think one of the things I have, and you know this from when we do our previews and trials, I very much will do the schedule on the trial, and I'll say to the client, this is your timings, and they're like, oh, amazing, like, I haven't got to worry about it. I'm like, no, I can liaise with the hairstylist, I can sort that out for you. And they're like, well, that's great. And that then stops the clients and the bride or party worrying about what they need to be doing at a certain time. Obviously, I recommend if you're doing any steaming, do it before hair and makeup's even commenced, because no one wants any, frizzy hair or makeup dripping.
No,
that's another big thing.
That is a big thing. Let's just talk about people steaming dresses
Yes.
after they've had their hair. I saw a really good reel about brides or bridesmaids steaming dresses after they've had their hair done. And I just want to emphasize that steam is water in the air,
Exactly.
and you've just had your hair done. So please bear this in mind. I would say, if anybody asked me for my opinion, I would say do all the steaming the day before.
Yeah. When you get there,
Get
settle
it
in,
done.
get it done, let them hang so that all creases are out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we could have a separate episode simply on
There's so much.
the wedding morning.
There's so much, isn't there?
There's so much to say. Maybe I will do another episode on that another time, because there is so much, isn't it? Right, Hayley, we are going to talk about how the client can find their makeup artist. We've just talked about how there's a billion makeup artists out there. And I said in a previous episode that not all hairstylists and not all makeup artists are the same. So, for example, the phrase, I'm going to get a makeup artist for my wedding, a wedding makeup artist. And I think that you need to be thinking about it maybe in slightly more specific terms, because what one wedding makeup artist does is not what another does in terms of their style. Now, of course, bridal does have its own, it falls under one umbrella. It does look a certain way, doesn't it? But really, there are lots of different styles of makeup. So I think this is where the client can feel overwhelmed, because they'll be going through Instagram or TikTok or Googling, and you'll have a list as long as your arm, of makeup artists. How would you suggest people go about trying to find the right makeup artist for them and their style of makeup?
I think as well, when you're in the booking stages, for example, and say you've booked your hairstylist, it's good to look on their Instagram who they've worked with. That's a big thing, and obviously they get tagged on posts, etc. And then obviously you can get a feel for the person you want to work with, and also knowing confidence that that particular vendor has worked with the other, so that instantly gives you reassurance, knowing that okay, well they've worked together before, great. That's really important. I also think for me especially, a lot of my clients that book me have found me through venues that have tagged me in posts, through hairstylists like yourself, Amy. Chicken video reference. I just feel like you like that, didn't you? I just feel like it's true. I feel like yes, Google's great as well. I think reviews are really important to us to be seen.
Oh, reviews are good. Yeah, reviews are good.
But I do feel like for me, yes, Pinterest is okay. I think it's okay. People put a lot out there, but I think a lot of it's very different to what reality is. So I think it's knowing the difference between a neutral makeup artist and a natural. Neutral is like that little bit more glam, while natural is like the best version of yourself. So I think it's just looking at specifics. I mean, hashtags were a big thing. I feel like, yes, you can still use them on Instagram, so you can particularly see. But I also think it's about looking up people in a specific area. Obviously, we'll travel, but I feel like a lot of it is through who you know as well, like who the actual suppliers worked with. That'll give you a good indication of the style that you're looking for.
Yeah, I talked about this with Ben and Liv in the last episode, actually, episode before last, about the importance actually of suppliers recommending suppliers. And I just want to emphasize that this is not about mates recommending mates to get work. I think that those recommendations are really valuable because they already know what the client is looking for. And if somebody was looking for your style of makeup, Hayley, and they asked me for a recommendation for a makeup artist, I'm like, okay, describe your style. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, this is who you need. And I have a long recommendations list. And if we do have that conversation about what they're looking for, then I will be like, okay, this person, this person, this person, those three are your best bet. So I think, the first port of call is friends and family recommendation. If you have seen that person's makeup for yourself, like say you were a guest at the wedding and you loved how the bride and the bridesmaids looked, I think seeing something in real life is probably your first the first thing you should be looking at, because you have seen it for yourself. Because how things photograph is different, obviously, sometimes how they can look in real life. So I think that's that's kind of another way of doing it, really.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
I think there's nothing nicer and more flattering than a recommendation. And for me, that's like when you think, do you know what, that's really special. If say you've done like a bridal party, which I know we have before, where we've pretty much done all the bridal party, and then it's their day, and it's like, well, I've already seen your work, it's amazing. You've done me as a bridesmaid, and it's so lovely when you can go back into this, environment where they're all familiar, they all love what you do, and they just appreciate you, and it's just so lovely because you're obviously doing the best for them, and then they really appreciate you back. So it's really, really flattering when you get that booking, like everyone's booked you from that bridal party.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that if somebody has found somebody on Instagram and they're really not sure, maybe they've got some questions, maybe about the coverage of foundation they like to use, or anything else, I think they should reach out. Like, I'm really happy to answer any questions via email, via DM on Instagram if anybody has any questions. And also, I know that you do this as well, Hayley. I have a consultation with clients either before they've booked. Ideally, I like to do it before they've booked. I like to do a call. Yeah. Sometimes after they've booked.
Yeah.
And that means that they get a vibe of you. They get to understand who you are. They get to understand your expertise, and they get to ask you questions as well. And I just think, I could actually, that's another episode. Another episode is consultation, because consultation's so important.
Well, I feel like it sets up the whole tone of the booking for me. And then clients know exactly who they're dealing with. They've pre-met you, whether you do like a on the phone call or you do a face to face, as in like Zoom. I feel like it is really nice now that you can do that, so instantly you can connect. And honestly, I always feel like instantly, once I've had that phone call, I mean, this 2026 bride that's booked me, as soon as we had this phone call, I mean, we've been going through a similar thing with lost a parent and all this. And instantly I felt like I knew her really well, and she even said to me, oh my god, like, I'm so glad like I held out for you opening your diary, because I just knew from the moment I saw your work and I saw you on social media, I knew you were the right fit for me. And I just thought, wow, that's something, isn't it? So that's really lovely.
But again, it is. And again, Hayley, this goes back to leaving yourself enough time to book your hair and makeup people. Because if you do it too late, you're not going to have a chance to do these things and be picky. And actually, I think that whilst there is tons of competition for us now, that is actually a great thing for the client, because it means they really can handpick their team. And it really is their team for the wedding day, you know. So again, reach out to us, have a consultation. If you're not sure about your makeup artist or your hairstylist, you can, most of them, I know most of them these days do have consultations, then you should absolutely do that. Like,
100%.
It's essential.
I think it's paramount in the fact that then, you know, you've completely spoken to the right person that you want to book. You're 100% at ease, and I just feel like it makes the whole experience a lot nicer. It's actually lighter weight knowing that takes that bit of pressure off as well.
Okay, Hayley, so we have now let our clients know how to find their makeup artist, how to choose their makeup artist. Now let's talk about makeup itself, although not really makeup, but about skincare. And I just wanted to briefly cover this topic because I know when I used to do makeup, this was something that was so important. And you can't really get the best result makeup wise without good skincare, can you?
Absolutely. The best foundation base is when you've got the best skincare. I always say skincare is where it starts, and that's how you get the best complexion for your wedding day. Obviously, I'm not a dermatologist at all. I'm not any of that. I always recommend my clients to go and see a dermatologist and skincare expert, because I feel like they're the ones that know. They can like gauge your skin. They'll give you like a consultation. And yeah, I'll always send them to someone, especially when I feel like their skin can be that much better. Do you know what I mean? I'm actually helping them as well, knowing that they can have this skin that they really want to achieve. But it's like they spent
100%
thousands on the wrong thing, and actually all they need to do is go and see someone that's in the know, who can guide them, you know, not pressure them into buy, but will give them the recommendations they need.
Yeah, I think it's a really personalised thing, and I think if you speak to any skincare expert, they will say that, you know, every case is treated individually, isn't it? So if you are somebody that does have skincare worries, like maybe you have acne or you have very, very dry skin, or maybe you don't even have a skincare routine, which makes my blood run cold.
Yes. When they tell me that, I'm like,
and there are those people.
Let's start from scratch. I'm like, right, let's start you on the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? Like, I when I said it makes my blood run cold, like, I don't shame those people at all. I mean,
of course,
everybody's got different priorities in their lives, but sometimes by just doing some basic things, for example, exfoliation. Again, I'm not a skincare expert. Everyone needs some form of exfoliation at some point, don't they? And that essentially, if anybody listening doesn't know the term, it's basically taking the dead skin off the surface, isn't it? So that you've got a beautiful, polished base for that foundation to go on to. And makeup can do miracles. Like, it can completely change the way someone looks. But if you have dry skin especially, do you think dry skin is more of a problem makeup wise than oily skin, or do you think oily skin is more of a problem?
I feel like I actually don't mind oily skin. I think it's the dry skin. I feel like it's just, that can be, for me that's like, right, trigger, let's recommend a skin therapist, because I know their skin could sit so much more flawlessly than it would on the trial. Because that, for me, that's a big thing. If I can see that and I'm like, right, this is, and I'm really transparent with them. I'm like, you know, I feel like you really benefit from it. It's also a little bit of self-care, bit of like time on your own to really like enjoy that time. So I feel like, you know, it's just putting it in a way that's like, actually, this is a treat for yourself. Like, you're going to come away feeling absolutely energized. Like, you're going to have the best skin of your life. And then on the wedding day, you can be like, wow, look at my makeup. It's that so much. So many of my clients that I've done previously have actually either kept up with the therapist I recommend, because they just can't believe the transition on how their makeup sits more flawlessly, how they're achieving a more natural look without having to cake it on to cover up their imperfections.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I would completely agree with this. So I got some of the I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's IPL, but I know IPL is also hair removal. I did not have IPL hair removal on my face.
Thank goodness.
Maybe that'll be more towards menopause. Who knows? It was basically to do with rosacea, and I've always suffered with skin redness, but I was getting loads of broken veins in my skin. Like, they were really broken. Like, they looked like you could see them at, like, you know, across the room. And it was making me feel really self-conscious, and I was having to put a lot of makeup on to cover them up, and I didn't want to have to do that every single day.
No.
And so I ended up having the IPL, and honestly, it transformed everything for me. It transformed my confidence with my skin, and I have no regret spending that money.
Absolutely.
Yes, it was expensive. It was bloody expensive, but I have absolutely no regrets. And I think if you're going to do these things for your confidence, you absolutely should. But the other thing I also want to emphasize is that it's a very expensive time coming up to your wedding, and I don't want to give the impression to anyone that you should be, you know, shoveling thousands of pounds into these other things. Sometimes you can do things that are inexpensive and really basic, and it's just something maybe you never realised that you should be doing, and it makes a massive difference.
Absolutely, and it doesn't have to be thousands of pounds. You know, you can achieve a lot of things at home. So the knowledge is so much more accessible now than it was 15 years ago. I do feel like sometimes you can get a consultation and it will just give you a bit of an insight into what skin type you are. But generally speaking, it's worth doing that. I really recommend it.
Yeah. So I have to say, one book that I found really transformed how I treat my skin is the Caroline Hirons book. It was so good, and
I've got it.
When I read it, I then just started recommending it to clients, because it goes through step by step, and it's so inclusive. So it talks about anything from teen skin all the way up to like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. And she covers everything. And I think even by reading that book alone, I learned a lot about my skin. I do have a skincare person I see as well. So if she is listening, love you, Amber. Like, this is like, I'm not saying what you've told me isn't relevant, but it's about educating yourself, isn't it? And about educating yourself ahead of your wedding day, just for like the best skin that you can get. And I mean, the information, as you say, is really accessible now.
Off the back of that as well, Amy, as you were saying with Caroline Hirons, she also brought out an app. So the skincare app also, you put in your skin type, it will pick up all different price points of the type of like skincare that will benefit your skin needs. So that's also a good tip.
So there's and I think we'd say to clients, if you do have any concerns about your skin, do bring it up to your makeup artist at the very beginning. There's no point you telling your makeup artist 8 weeks before your wedding. There's very little you can do. It's like with hair, skin requires time. It requires experimentation sometimes. Sometimes some skincare isn't going to work for you. And your skin barrier needs time to build up and to repair. And that's the problem I had with my skin as well, is it was very dry. It wasn't getting the things that it needed.
Essentials.
And you know, we shouldn't have the same skincare at 20 that we have at 30, and then the same skincare we'd have at 30 at 40. And I know as I've approached 40, my skin's needs have really changed. So I think it's about reviewing where you are. Have you changed anything in the last 10 years? And if you haven't, maybe have a review.
Yeah, agreed. And start again. There's at the end of the day, it's something nice about. I mean, for me, I love doing makeup, but skincare is the foundation for everything for me. I love good skincare, so you know that's where my money is spent. That's what makes me happy. So you know, and it's also a treat for you, and it's also self-care. You're looking after yourself, and that's really important.
And you're going to be able to, if you are looking for a more natural look, where you have, you know, where it's not so matte, where it's more dewy, where it's kind of more like satin on the skin, you are, you know, that's going to be much easier to achieve if you do have, you know, hydrated plump skin, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then there's so many different facials out there. Like there's a hydrofacial which does just that.
Oh, anyway, Hayley, thank you so much for chatting to me today. We could talk for so much longer. There's so much more to cover.
Yes.
I think maybe an episode does need to be done on
We'll do another. I'm up
the
for
morning.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
the wedding morning. And if people want to see your work and find you, Hayley, where can they find you?
Yeah, so on my Instagram, I've also got like a link to my website. That is on there. Obviously, you can just put in Hayley Clarke Makeup Artist. That'll come up in Google. But yes, all the contact info is on my Instagram account as well, along with my email for correspondence.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much, Hayley. I'm going to see you again at the weekend.
See you Saturday.
And, see you in a couple of days. Bye.
Thank you, lovely. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I meant to say, if it wasn't clear enough, when Hayley and I were talking about the skincare book, it's called Skincare by Caroline Hirons. I highly recommend it. It is actually a book that I go back to again and again. So if you are interested in that whole skincare element, then go and check it out. I just have a small favour to ask. If you could go to wherever you have listened to this podcast, whether it be on YouTube or Spotify, if you could please like it and rate it, please, because this gets out to more people. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I will be back again next time with another hopefully fun. I hope you're finding this fun. I hope you are. Please let me know if you are, or if you aren't, maybe. I will be back with another amazing guest. I've got so many more people to bring to you. Anyway, have an amazing week, and I'll speak to you next time.